Right, let's go straight into it. How are you guys doing at the moment?
Yeah, we're in form. Nine wins out of the last 11. Clean sheets as well in the last few games. Confidence is coming into the group.
Yeah.
Even defensively, I was very worried in the earlier part of the season. Red cards, we were going through crazy records in terms of discipline and individual errors and poor decision making. We seem to have ironed out a lot of that. I don't want to jinx it, I'm hoping I haven't, but we seem to be ironing out a lot of those issues, and we're getting back to some sort of defensive solidarity that we showed in the Club World Cup and at the latter part of last season, even with the centre-back selections that we have. A lot of rotation back there due to just having injury-prone players like Badiashile and Fofana, but at least some sort of base to build on, and we showed that against Barcelona, at home, even though 10 men for the second half. First half, we were on top as well. Attacking wise, we're scoring goals. I think we're actually second for clean sheets behind you guys. Mm-hmm. And goals wise, we're doing very well for ourselves in the Premier League as well. So we're in good form at both ends of the pitch, which is a little bit surprising to me because I don't necessarily think from an individual standpoint, the quality is like staring you in the face at times. However, from a collective standpoint and pressing as a unit and putting in a shift and defensively positioning and structure, we just look more like a team and more balanced. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm quietly very confident, maybe loudly confident as the days go on, but I'm feeling very good going into the game.
So for me, there's I think 3 points with Chelsea that I picked up at the beginning of the season and through the season. Is one, I looked at your squad and obviously the Club World Cup, which you went on and won after winning a European trophy again last season. Fair play to you guys. And I always kind of knew you were going to have a bit of a slow start, a bit of a hangover, as it were, from the Club World Cup. It's a lot of games of football, and then taking that into the Premier League. But then and I remember actually saying a statement. I thought that Chelsea would then come on strong later on, and everyone was saying, "Oh, you're mad." They've been, written off, and now you're kind of starting to see that consistency. Then you had obviously the discipline problem, like you said, and that seems to have been sorted out. And for me, you were a centre back and a goalkeeper away from being probably, with us, one of the best teams in the league. But you're actually proving now, like your performance against Barcelona the other night, and I watched that entire game, and you pressed them, you dominated midfield, you were all over them. Cucurella had Yamal in his pocket throughout the entire game, and they play with each other in the Spanish team. So you would have thought that there could have been a bit of something happening down that side for him, but there was nothing. Yeah. And Barcelona, if I'm honest with you, were made to look bang average by Chelsea. And that place, Stamford Bridge, was rocking. The atmosphere, when I talk about atmospheres in football, my hair's standing up because I love that. I really love that about football. And you guys were going for it. You were baying for blood. And it could have been 5 or 6.
It could have been. There was a lot of goals being disallowed. Of course, they played the offside trap, that high line Hansi Flick, because it's been there for since he's been at Barca and really since he's been coaching Bayern Munich as well. And we always knew that we were going to have chances. I watched Barca highlights there against Club Brugge as well. Before the international break, they conceded 3 goals. Celta Vigo, I believe, conceded 2 again. There was always chips in the armour. It was whether or not we were going to be able to defend their attackers, the Yamals, the Lewandowskis, the Rafinhas. If he had started, Rashford was in good form. But we were fantastic, like you said, and I think Maresca gets it right in big games. That's the key for me. Tactically, he sets this team up really well. In the smaller games, we drop points at home. I even still can't stop thinking about the Brightons and the Sunderlands, where we really should have done better, and then we'd be closer to Arsenal in this league. Yeah. But big games, Liverpool, PSG, Barcelona, he really does set this team up very well, and he compacts that midfield. Is congested. So we're the youngest team in the league. There has to be energy, and we're showing it now. Because
Sunderland, you picked up on that. I remember watching that game, and you were kind of pressing at the end of the game, pressing Sunderland, and they got a breakaway and just done the damage to you. And to be honest, they were very good against us as well. Yeah. So both having dropped points against that team, a team that was probably written off that everyone said would go straight back down. So. They were a side that's literally signed 14 players. Let's talk about your signings on that note. So the signings that you bought in summer, you bought Delap in, amongst a few others. Garnacho. Talk to me about those players and how they've fitted into your side.
It's interesting because I think out of all of the signings, I think the excitement is there for Esteval Willian, because he's the one that's come in, 18 years old, new country, new culture, Brazilian national team over the international break, taking penalties for them over, the likes of Vini and Rodrigo, scoring an absolute insane finish against Barcelona, great dribbling, both feet, unpredictable, live wire. He's the one that everyone's gravitating to and gets off their seat for. I think Andre Santos is slowly bubbling under the water. We didn't sign him this summer, but he came back from the Strasbourg loan, and he's come in to kind of fill in when Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo need a rest. But I think he's just as good as able to challenge them, and that speaks volumes because Enzo's having a big season in terms of contributing on the goal front. His performances have picked up as well recently, and Caicedo's just been classed the whole way. He was Player of the Year last year. Garnacho, Gittins, João Pedro, Delap. I wouldn't say that any of them are at a level that speaks to me as title-winning attackers. Okay. I think there's a lot more room to grow and to push on. João Pedro, house on fire in Club World Cup. Premier League started strong, fizzled out in terms of shots. A lot of 10-men games, so a lot of lack of support, lack of kind of attacking options to play with, especially at Old Trafford. He was isolated. He still had a really good game. So there's good performances within that, but then there's also performances where you're like, no, you need to do better. You need to take more shots. You need to get into the box. You need to be on the end of crosses. Delap, injured for a while, and then ill-disciplined, got red carded, got a goal against Barca. Hopefully the confidence comes back up. But again, NA, not really enough there to really judge. Gittins, loads of assists actually this season, and Garnacho is getting some goals. So they are contributing. They are starting to make inroads, I think, but at the same time, you can't say that it's title-winning left-wing level. It's we still need more. We need consistency. We need just more of everything. But they're slowly bedding in. They are bedding in.
The one thing I really noticed, which I think was a really good buy, is essentially what you bought Delap for.
Yeah.
That he's like a battering ram. You bring him on, he'll smash a few players, and then hopefully sticks the ball in the back of the net. Yeah. And that's exactly what he did the other night.
Yeah.
He got himself around the pitch, hassled a few defenders, made himself very known. I mean, he did that in a game before and he got sent off. It was a bit too over the top.
Yeah.
But I think, having that versatility, like you say, João Pedro and Estevao, you've got very different Garnacho, very different ilks of player that play in different ways. And it's finding at the right time in the game when you need that.
Yeah.
And against opposition like Arsenal, you're going to need that plethora and eclectic mix of player to break up the game and cause your opponent a different proposition.
Yeah, it's exactly what you have.
Yeah.
Obviously, in regards to Eze now a creative 10, which was lacking, I think, in that squad for a while. I see Odegaard as more of an 8, keeps the ball ticking, but you needed someone to be maybe more of a game breaker. Yeah. And you saw against Tottenham, I mean, this guy was ridiculous. The finishing, could have had 4 or 5 goals himself solo-wise. Saka, very different winger to Madueke, very different winger to Trossard.